Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. So keeping in line and keeping in the theme of Orlando, the next topic I want to talk about is Universal Studios. So I really just wanted to talk about our 2 days that we spent there. So I wanted to talk about that, the rides, the food, the merchandise, the prices, reviews of all of that, and I also wanted to talk about our experience with express passes and how we essentially purchased those, because we didn't do it in the normal standard way of just purchasing express passes, as you will have seen. So I just wanted to put all of that together in one vlog about Universal, starting with the 2 theme parks. So we usually spend 2 days in the 2 parks, so that's essentially 1 park for each day, and we do find that we can get everything done in both of those days for each parks. I know this time we actually did it slightly different because we went and did both parks in both days. So we got the Hogwarts Express back and forth, we sort of did something in Studios, and then we went to Islands of Adventure on the same day, and we did that both days. Whereas the first time we went, we did just spend 1 full day in Universal and then 1 full day in Islands. So we did switch it up a bit this time, but I do feel like we are all thrill seekers. We will ride all of the rides, well, most of them, but we did feel like 2 days in the 2 parks was enough for us. I know it may differ depending on what you want to do, what your kids want to do. If your base may be nearer Universal or International Drive, you may want to spend more time at Universal. Absolutely fine. There is definitely a lot to see and do, and there's also things to do at City Walk, which is where you essentially have to walk through to get to the 2 parks anyway. So there's restaurants, bowling, mini golf, there's a cinema, there's so many things to do there, so you can utilise that whole area for your time there. Just sticking with City Walk for a second, I highly recommend Voodoo Donuts, which if you haven't heard, it's like this really famous donut shop that does not your normal classic donuts. They have themed donuts, they have really interesting flavours, they're not sort of boring flavours, but they are amazing and they are not expensive at all. We got a baker's dozen, I think for $25. I could be wrong, but it was like $2 or $3, well, $2 per donut in that case, but it was really cheap. We did work out it was actually cheaper getting them than a dozen of donuts you get in the UK, and they were much better quality. So Voodoo Donuts, it's on City Walk, it's as you are heading into Universal, so you can either get some and maybe eat them if you want to eat them all before you go on some rides, or what we did is get them after we'd been to the park and took them back to our hotel. So I definitely would recommend Voodoo Donuts. So Universal Studios and Islands of Adventure are amazing, to just put it, you know, put it how it is. They are 2 amazing theme parks that you should definitely visit. I mean, starting off with the obvious, the rides. There are some fantastic rides out there. You've got some new rides as well. You've got some family friendly rides. You've got some sort of immersive 3 and 4D rides. You've also got some kids rides. We went on them all. So if you're in the area, if you're planning a holiday, you must visit Universal. In terms of more specifically rides, there are thrill rides. There are definitely some interesting thrill rides. There are roller coasters, there are drop rides, rides that do go upside down, and rides that essentially feel like you're falling out your seat. There are some amazing rides, and I think Universal does sort of take first place in terms of amazing rides. I do love rides at Disney, don't get me wrong, but in terms of if you're a thrill seeker, this is definitely the park for you. My favourite ride of all time was Hagrid's, and I first rode it on this holiday and I could not believe how amazing this ride was. I cannot even tell you. It's thrilling. It doesn't go upside down, but it is thrilling. It is, I would say, if you're wanting to maybe sort of go from family coaster to thrill, sort of more thrilling coaster, I would maybe start with Hagrid's, because yes, it's fast, it's quick, it's got launches, it goes backwards, there's a drop. it's not like ridiculously thrilling to the point where like it's scary. It's like a fun scary, but I saw adults, children, everyone going on it, and everyone was so excited. I really wish I rode it more than once. I only rode it once when I was there because I didn't want to wait in a really long queue. The one annoying thing about Hagrid's is there is only a standard queue or a single rider queue, and the single rider queue is essentially the same length anyway because it's a 2 ride coaster, so you're not really going to get there any quicker. But yeah, they don't have express queue. Really frustrating. Hopefully the next time we go they will have it, because I think that would really help with like delays and queue time, because every time we walked past it or even looked on the app at the time, it was, I think the lowest we saw it was 45 minutes, and it never went under 45 ever. I will give you a little tip or trick. This might not happen all the time, but I would suggest if you're in the sort of Hogsmeade area around Hagrid's and there's a weather delay and it's closed, hang about for a bit. I would definitely hang about. Maybe hang about right at the front of the ride. That's what we did. And when it reopens, you will go straight on. That's what happened to us. Yes, I will say we ended up waiting for it to reopen probably the same amount of time as we would have queued for it anyway, but that's not the point. When it reopened, it was a bit of like every man for himself. If you've watched my previous vlog where I talk about Hagrid's, it was like definitely a safety violation. Everyone was shoving and pushing, and yeah, it was quite dangerous. But once we were on, as in the queue, I think we queued for about 10 minutes and it was constantly flowing. So if you don't want to wait in an actual queue, hang about Hagrid's when the ride is down for a weather delay. Hang about there outside. Eventually, sometimes it can be hours because they have to let weather fronts pass. I think they have like a 9-mile radius like sort of rule, so if it's within 9 miles in terms of like thunder, lightning, they can't keep the ride open, so they have to wait until it's passed. Can take up to a couple of hours. I think for us we waited 45 minutes actually hanging about by Hogsmeade, by Hagrid's, and then we went on, it was a further 10 minutes. So if you think about it, we were queuing for 60 minutes. Not ridiculous, but yeah. I only count the 10 minutes, I don't count waiting for the ride to reopen. But yeah, I waited basically an hour. So after riding that ride, that is definitely my favourite ride ever. I'm so glad I rode it. Definitely recommend going on Hagrid. I do find all of the rides at Wizarding World really, really fun to ride. There aren't any like really scary coasters. I would say Escape from Gringotts is probably thrilling. It's 3D, it is a track, it is a coaster, you do sort of drop a bit, but I wouldn't say that's scary at all. There's the Forbidden Journey, which is a bit of a motion sicky ride. It does move you about and you're sort of harnessed in, and like each sort of car has its own way about how it moves. It's really hard to explain, but if you ever go on it you'll understand. It does jolt you about a bit, so I do like that ride. I have been on it before, but it does cause a bit of that sicky feeling. If you ever feel it before, you'll probably get it on that ride. So maybe take like motion sickness tablet beforehand if you want to ride it, because I don't want you to miss out on it because it's a good ride, but just bear that in mind. And then you've got a nice fun kiddie ride, which is like a family, I wouldn't say children's coaster, it is like a family coaster, Flight of the Hippogriff. That is a fun ride. It is just a simple roller coaster, not really much about it. It's a very short wait time. Me and Sophie went on it actually, and it wasn't even a wait, we just went straight on. So it is fun, not really thrilling. Children can go on there, like young children, so I'd go on it as well. It is a fun ride. There are other rides that I have been on before which I didn't go on this time because I do get really bad motion sickness very recently for some reason. I don't know why, I just suddenly got really bad motion sickness. It started out as like car sick, and then I started to notice when I was like going on other things, I started to get it, and I'm like, oh, so annoying. But yeah, I would definitely recommend Hulk. That is a very good coaster, but it is very jolty. It is very, you can tell it's an old coaster because it's not very smooth, but it is fun. and the theming is great. And I love, as soon as you come out of the launch, you do hear the sort of roar of Hulk, which I absolutely love. Every time I hear it, I'm like, oh, love it. And then there is Velocicoaster. I'm not gonna skip past that ride. Now, no, I didn't go on it. You obviously know that. If I'm not going on other things, I'm definitely not going on that. I do sort of wish I did, but I know it is very intense. And when Sophie and Matt came off of it, they did not look well. Like, Sophie looked like she'd been taken places. So it does look, it's very intense. They did say it was very intense. You do this sort of barrel roll, but it's like really low down by the water. And Soph did say that you were so, it felt like you were so close, and you were basically spending more time out of your seat than in it. So they really loved it. They did say it was sort of on par with Hagrid's in terms of their favourite roller coaster. But yeah, it's definitely intense for a lot of people. But I would definitely go on it. Maybe next time. But I'd recommend going on it, even though I haven't. So please go on it. And then you've also got your classic rides that have been there for probably quite a while. The longest one, I believe, is E.T. Now, in my opinion, that should have gone a long time ago. I feel like they should have kept like Jaws and like those types of rides and got rid of E.T. I find it a bit boring, a bit... I know this is very controversial because everyone loves that ride and it's like everyone's favourite, but no, I find it silly. I don't particularly like E.T. The pre-show where they've got Steven Spielberg talking about E.T. is very old. It was obviously done when it just had come out, or maybe even built into the park, but it was very old. I think they just need to redo it or get rid of it and put something more interesting in there. Sorry, I know that is very controversial and I'm very sorry. I just don't like it. I just find it very boring. Another ride which I feel like should be replaced, I'm gonna get a lot of hate for probably this one as well, Men in Black Alien Attack. I don't really like that ride. Again, it spins you a lot. I do like sort of the blaster shooting rides. I love the ones at Disney. But yeah, for some reason, I'm not a fan of that one. They do that sort of unnecessary random spinning and there's no need for it. And yeah, I'm not really keen on Men in Black. I feel like, again, that's a film that was long ago and they should replace it with a newer Universal film because there's plenty of amazing films out there that they've done. But yeah, I think that maybe needs to go as well. But it's a fun ride, fun for the family. It's a fun blasting shooting game if you want to do that. But me personally, if I'm going to go and do like a shooting fun blasting game, I'll just go Disney. And then they do have some really fun children areas. They have Seuss Landing, which is essentially all of the Dr. Seuss books. So they've got the Grinch, they've got Cat in the Hat, and they've also got some rides that feature. I do love the Cat in the Hat ride, always fun. Cat in the Hat is just amazing, one of my favourite childhood films, the one with Mike Myers, absolutely love it. And they also have meet and greets as well with Cat in the Hat, Thing 1, Thing 2 and the Grinch. And let's not forget the water rides. When I say water rides, like, you essentially just get submerged in water because they don't just get you wet, they will get you drenched. There's 3 in Islands of Adventure. There is Dudley Do-Right's Ripsaw Falls. There is the, I can never remember the name, but it's like Bill Barge ride. It's that one with the like the barge. That essentially you might as well just be swimming because you get so wet on that. And then there's the Jurassic Park River Adventure, which I don't think that gets you as wet as the others, but I think it depends on where you sit. I think if you sit at the front, you do get wet. If you're towards the back, you don't really get as much because I think the wave is essentially the front of the ride. But yeah, those 3 rides do get you drenched. Now there are some 3D rides. There is the Transformers ride at Universal Studios, and then there is the Spider-Man ride at Islands. They're essentially the same. They just obviously go down their separate individual plots. But yeah, they are essentially the same. I find those now to be quite motion sicky because it's a simulator ride, and I think simulator rides are quite bad in terms of motion sickness for some people. They are fun rides. If you do like Transformers and Spider-Man, definitely go on them. But yeah, if you don't want to get motion sickness, I'd probably give those a miss, to be honest, but they are fun. So now I just wanted to talk a bit about the food and the merchandise, because I did find that there was more choice of food at Universal than comparing it to Disney. I found that Disney was very much burgers, fries, one salad, chicken tenders. There wasn't a lot of choice, I found. Now, I know there's plenty of places to eat, so that is probably just a very general overview, but I did find that both places we went in Universal for the 2 days for lunch, they had like garlic bread, they had spaghetti, they had sandwiches. They didn't have, it wasn't like burgers, as in it was an actual sandwich. Then they had mashed potato, gravy, chicken and sweet corn and things like that. So I did find that there was more variety for food in Universal, and it was probably, I wouldn't say healthy because it definitely wasn't, but it was nicer than having fries or burgers. So yeah, I would say the food for the 2 days was better than the food I did have at, like when I say food at Disney, I mean like the quick service, not sit down restaurants, because those are probably some of the best places I've eaten in terms of like just going for quick food, like in a quick service. Yeah, so just probably bear that in mind. And I don't think it was as expensive as Disney, because I know Disney's food is really expensive. I think it was the same, if not slightly cheaper for what you get, and there were big portions like they usually are. Merchandise, definitely cheaper, sometimes by like $10, sometimes by like $1, but the merchandise at Universal was definitely cheaper than Disney. I did mention it slightly in a vlog when I was doing my trip haul, but I did get a few things that were like, a t-shirt at Universal was $30, and then a t-shirt, it's pretty much the same but just Disney themed, at Disney was like $35-40. So there is a difference there, and I did find sort of generally the prices were a lot less than what Disney were like selling them for. And you know, I got some stuff. I got a Harry Potter sweater, which was $35, half price. I also got a Universal Studios t-shirt, which was $30. I got a Universal lanyard to put my Universal tickets in, because I'm one of them cool people. I think that was it actually. I got a brownie as well, which was lovely. So now you're probably thinking, Charlotte, tell us about the queues, tell us about the wait times. I'm going to tell you how to essentially cheat the system and get express passes. Now, you've heard me mention this before. What you're going to do is you're not going to pay for an express pass per person per day. You're going to go to one of 3 premium Universal hotels. And why, you ask? Because if you stay in one of those, you get free unlimited express passes included in your stay for however many days you stay in there for. And that includes check-in day and check-out day. So we found this out from, I think we found it from a Facebook group. We really did want to get express passes, but we knew they were going to be so expensive. But yeah, we saw on Facebook or somewhere that they essentially got what's called a ghost room, where the premium hotels, so the 3 premium hotels at Universal property are the Hard Rock, there's Loews Royal Pacific, and then Loews Portofino Bay. All 3 of those, whenever you stay there, so even one night, which we did, you get express passes for your check-in day and your check-out day. So the one night, 2 express passes for the 2 days. Amazing, right? So we found this out and we were like, oh my god, great. So, but then we were like thinking, oh, how much is the hotel room? Because if they're giving you free express passes, surely they're going to have to include that in the price. So we did some looking. For an express pass for one person for one day was, for the times we went, around $230. So if you times that, so there was 5 of us, so that was essentially $900. And then for the 2 days, that's nearly $2,000. So we then stayed, we looked at hotels. We then found the Royal Pacific, which is where we eventually booked and stayed, for one night at $600. So actually it was like £600. So I think it was around $650, but we paid £600. So we thought, well, yes, £650 for essentially staying in a room that you're not going to stay in. It's still expensive, but you get express passes and you get early entry into Wizarding World. So you get a full hour before normal guests can come in. Now, we weren't really looking, or we didn't really care which one. we just knew that we wanted to stay in one of those three, and we found that Royal Pacific always came up cheapest by like a couple of quid. So we were like, let's just book that. And Royal Pacific is so close, you can walk to Universal. They have a special walkway, which is like about an 8-9 minute walk. And it's such a lovely walk as well. It's all under some trees, it's really shaded, really lovely view. But you walk past the sort of river lake where the water taxi comes in, because you can also get a water taxi to and from, which I think takes about 3 or 4 minutes. But you do have to wait, obviously if one isn't there, you do have to wait for that. So we just preferred walking. But you get express passes included in the £600, early entry an hour before, and you can just walk to and from, and you get like a special security entryway, so you don't have to go in queue with everyone else. I know that's like not really anything, but for us, we like just walking up, putting our stuff through, walking through, and then going in. You don't have to, none of this waiting around for a security queue. No, no, no. So we booked that separately. We booked it like 2 or 3 weeks before. It wasn't even, actually, I think it was the week of, because I remember speaking to Soph about it. Yeah, it was definitely the week of. 650 quid. We were obviously going to do it, but we booked it separately through, it was like through like booking.com or like Trivago, one of those sort of comparison websites. And yeah, we booked that. We did plan on just using it as a ghost room. We didn't really plan on staying in it, but Mum and Dad ended up staying the night. And they did really enjoy the hotel and the facilities. The beds were really comfortable. We did use the facilities the night before when we actually came back from our first day of Universal. We had a look around. We sort of had a look at their restaurant, their shop. They did have like an on-site shop which did have a Starbucks, so already a big tick for me and Soph. They had a lovely swimming pool, which we went and had a little sunbathe, and we ordered food. Yeah, really, really nice facilities. Now, the room itself was nice, but what I will say is I did prefer the hotel room at the Jewellery Plaza, and that is an insane price difference. But it was a nice room, don't get me wrong, but I just preferred the Jewellery Plaza room, and you're paying a lot less. But yeah, don't get me wrong, the room was nice. It was very modern. It was, I would say it's premium, like it was like the hotel is advertised. I would definitely say it's premium. Lovely sort of furnishings, lovely like chest of drawers, and you know, table and chair and things like that. I didn't find it to be like as premium or as luxury as what they say, and I wouldn't have paid 600 quid for it. Like I don't think I'd do that again. Maybe I would just for the ghost room, but yeah, like Mum and Dad were sort of, they were like, oh, the beds were really comfortable, but yeah, it wasn't like an amazing room. I wouldn't sort of shout about it. And I just preferred the room at the Jewellery Plaza, where you're paying like £100 a night, so probably not even that. But I think for what you were getting, and we only used that room for express passes and early entry essentially, so we definitely got what we paid for. We were happy with it, and we definitely think it's worth it. So if you are wanting to use express passes but it is really expensive, look at what a premium room would be for the night and compare the prices. Again, like I said, we paid 600 quid. That's like nearly 200 each. No, that's not even 200 each. That's like 150 each. But then we would have paid $400 for the 2 days per person. So yeah, I just, there's sort of no comparison really. You just might as well get the premium room. And then in terms of checking in, you can check in at like 7 AM, get temporary room keys because your room key is your express pass. You then can just go straight across, get there for 8 o'clock for early entry, and they will keep your luggage. And the same thing with checkout. You check out when you're supposed to, but you can go out any earlier, leave your luggage, come back once you spent the second day in the park. So you can essentially get 2 full days out of it. But I would definitely recommend it. Definitely recommend express passes. In terms of queuing, I think the longest we queued for express passes, I think was like 10 minutes. Not even that. I think pretty much everything was a walk on. I'm pretty sure anyway. But yeah, it was definitely worth it. But it was such an amazing 2 days at Universal. Everything about it was amazing. We always love having a couple of days at Universal and sort of splitting the holiday. But yeah, we had the most amazing time. We love all the rides, we love the food, we love the merch, and we love Hagrid. If anyone wants me to go into sort of more detail with anything in particular at Universal, please do let me know by either DMing me on Instagram or anything, or leaving a comment down below. I'd happily go over anything in more detail. But this was sort of just an overview and review of my time at Universal. As I said, we love it. Amazing. Hagrid's is the best ride ever. So thank you all for watching and for listening me ramble on about Universal Studios. I could go on for a lot longer, but I'm not going to because that's just annoying for all of you. So thank you again, and I will see you in my next video.